Hello, this is Rob KRYDER from KRYDER Exploration. We're going to be doing some spectral analysis work on the Ortiz Mountain recording, segment 1. It was recorded on 5/5 of 2012. In the first clip, we'll be looking at is previously recorded animal sounds that were identified. The first one we see here is a normal dog barking repeatedly. Each animal is going to have its own visual focal spectrum. You'll see a signature for each different creature, and that's going to always designate what animal's making the sound. In the second frame, we see a dog barking, turning into a howl, a low frequency howl with a little bit of high frequency pitch as well. You'll notice that the dog actually shows up somewhere between the 500 and 800 hertz range, and then all the way up to about 2200 hertz. Here we have another picture. It's marked here as a dog bark, and a dog barking with another complex howl section, which actually these animals are agitated because of another creature that's out there. This is a previously recorded segment, and the dog is doing some very strange vocalizations in his guttural howl as a response to other noises. You'll also notice though that the frequency remains the same. The range for a dog is always going to be that within a dog. A coyote has the same signature in a slightly different frequency. He can raise his voice a little higher than most normal dogs can. Here we see a normal voice print of wind. It's always scattered and raises from the bottom up like that. What we see now is wind and the last nighttime bird chirping. That microphone was actually placed lower on the mountain the night we did the 5/5/12 recordings, but it was earlier in the evening, around dusk. This bird was the last one to show up on the recording that evening, and he's accompanied by a wind noise there, which you can see in the spectrograph. Again, this is a wind noise, and we have a steel pipe being hit. So that's a signature. You can see the echo continue off that. Now if it's wood, it has no echo, and you'll just get a vertical stripe, and it'll usually exceed clean through 15,000 or 20,000 hertz. This is the signature of a jet aircraft at high altitude. As it approaches, the sound is a little bit higher. It lowers in frequency range as it goes over, and we get a high frequency carryover as it leaves. This, however, is a signature that's not identifiable with any of the known animals. This is what we look for in the subject animal we're trying to study, that we believe is a Bigfoot, or more likely a Homo heidelbergensis, the original branch of man. Were often 7 to 9 feet, and their vocal range far exceeded that of a human above and below, and so did their hearing, from what they can tell. This sound is absolutely within about 50 to 100 hertz spread, all alone on the graph. It's a nice little hoot, and you can see this signature, of course, is a lot different than a dog, naturally, who scales the peak. Now this is the signature that we look for. Again, this is the subject animal. This is from the night of 5/5/2012. You can see that again it's within about a 50 to 100 hertz bandwidth, but he can carry that band as a single harmonic tone, very clean, all the way across. The duration of some of these are up to 30 seconds in later recordings. Here now you'll see another of the same. Notice the amplitude and the modulation is tremendous over the other animals. I don't know of anything that can produce that kind of volume, especially since we recorded these at 2 miles. Now, this will be one more in this picture series, and this is 2 of the soundings of the subject animal. He can produce a large tone and then carry that tone very, very cleanly, and then he builds the tone and falls off later in a little bit of a guttural sound that came back of a lower frequency. The animal is also capable of producing sounds into the infrasound off the low end of the chart, which none of the animals are capable of, and those tones can carry for miles. Now the next thing we see up on the screen here is a chart of 5 known animals. These sound recordings came from the U.S. Wildlife and Forest Service. And the first one I'm going to point out here on the screen is a coyote howl. And you can see the coyote will do a little shrill number and then dive in. The second one is a wolf howl. And these animals are running in the range. They bottom out about 200 hertz, and then they usually top out, like I said, around 2200, and these are the fade-outs high signature echo. So we're looking at that range of the normal canine animal. Now this picture, or this frame we see here, subject is an elk. Has a similar vocal pattern, but it ranges and scrambles a lot different than a wolf or one of the canine animals would. This is a great horned owl. It's about one of the only major owls we have in the area. Not much competes with them. You can see the hoot hoot. This is a mountain lion. I'll go ahead and play these sounds for you. I just want to note that mountain lions don't howl, bears don't howl, many other animals can't sustain a note. Very few being the canines that can really pull that off. When birds come up, birds are always in the higher frequency ranges. They never dip down into the 200 hertz range. What we're looking at on the chart is singled out in about the 400 hertz range, and that actually is a dead range in most of the other animal sounds. There's not much up there. So where we're looking at in these sounds is kind of a, or I should say here, is kind of a little divisionary area that they're coming up in. So now I'm going to go ahead and play these sounds for you. And you'll see as a comparison, and then we'll switch over and I'll show you the other subject animal recording. Okay, now we're at the subject animal recording. This was again done 5/5/2012. This is the same one that was published, Ortiz Mountain, segment 1. What I did here was, though, I'm looking at a different spread of the sound here, so the timing is a little different, so I could show you that it's not just a howling pattern at random, like wind or something else has been questioned. It comes up in absolute timed event patterns, and they run through the entire 10 minutes like this, to where you have a certain duration hoot that accelerates in amplitude, then it starts again, decelerates in amplitude, accelerates in amplitude, decelerates in amplitude, on a sequence that's way too orderly, of course, to be random, and we don't know of any other animal that does this. Now I'm going to go ahead and play the original and allow you to watch the spectrograph live as it plays through the entire cut. Hope you enjoy it.